I'd like to call the Finance Administration Economic Development Committee meeting to order this morning. It is Thursday, May 8th at 9 a.m. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would ask, obviously, I know we've changed this meeting from Monday, so Sarah, we're in compliance with all FOIA regulations?
Yes, sir, we are.
All right, thank you. And I'd ask for someone to approve our agenda this morning.
Motion that.
All right, we got the first and a second, Ms. Brown and Ms. Tabernick. Any discussion on that? Seeing no discussion, we'll approve it without objection, and it is approved without objection. We now have our citizens' comment period. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak today? And obviously, there's no one online, so all right, we'll close our citizens' comment then and get to number 6 on our agenda, which is the Assistant County Administrator's Report. There is none of that? Okay, we're going to, all right, let's move on to number 7 then. And that's a resolution authorizing the county administrator to enter into a memorandum of agreement regarding live coverage, public broadcasting, recording, and archiving of government meetings and events. If I could ask for someone to make a motion.
A motion.
All right, thank you, Ms. Brown. A second?
I'll second it.
All right, and Pinky, you're gonna, no? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you back there.
Didn't know when to step up.
Yep, that's it. Thank you for coming this morning. Appreciate
Thank
you
you
being
for,
here.
yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
Mr. Berger is our Broadcasting Services Director. Is that your correct title?
Yes, sir. You got it right. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
This is my first time, so you want me to go first, or? Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, this is a resolution for to give the county administrator, for council to vote to give the county administrator the authority to execute memorandums of agreement between the county and the town of Bluffton and the town of Hilton Head and the Beaufort County School District for broadcast coverage and archiving of their board meetings, county meetings, council meetings, all the things that we've been doing for a while. And the reason for the ask today is we spoke with clerks, and we looked ourselves, and we could not find a record of council approving for the administrator to execute these MOAs. So with the consultation of the legal department, they said, let's just get it on the books, let you guys vote on it, and make a record of it. So moving forward, Mr. Moore can execute these agreements.
Is there any questions for Mr. Verga? And this would move to council as a resolution. So if there's no objection, we'll go ahead and approve this without objection to move to council. And I see no objection, so this will then move to council. Mr. Verga, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You did very good for your first time. We appreciate you being here at
Appreciate
8 a.m.
you
in the
guys.
morning.
Yeah, thank you. It's a big deal for us and for the department and the relationships within the community. So thank you guys very much. All right.
Thank you. All right, let's move on then to our item number 8, approval of a request to purchase a Peterbilt tandem dump truck with a Goodwin body. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
All right, Mr. Passament, and then Ms. Tabernick seconded it. And is there any discussion about this? Any reason for us to go through this? I think we've seen this before on the agenda.
I just wanted to make a comment. I'm very happy to see it has the rear tarp, since April was rear tarp month or whatever it's called. And so when I was looking at the picture, it's got that tarp that comes off. It looks like a pretty nice truck, actually. And I think just for the public, in case they don't read the backup material, it says it's 21 years old. That's a long time. So I think we obviously need it.
The one we're replacing?
The one we're replacing. That's a long time.
We were buying one, it's 20.
No.
All right, is there any more, I thought the same thing too. It was like, we're buying a 21-year-old truck.
It was built in 2004.
Is there any more discussion? Seeing no discussion, can we approve this without objection? Is there any objection? And I see no objection, so that also will be approved without objection. Let's move on now to our number 10 and, number 9. And discussion of a resolution previously approved to commit funds to be provided from Beaufort County to the Technical College of the Low Country for the construction of the Arthur E. Brown Regional Workforce Training Center. Fiscal impact 1.5 million was supposed to be over a 3-year period. 6 million was issued via 2025 series GO bonds, but council needs to discuss if they would like to fund the remaining 1.5 million. And Ms. Harriet, thank you for being here today. Can I first have a motion for us to take this up?
I'll make the motion.
All right, thank you, Allison. I think Mr. Passman was a second. We now will open this up to discussion and with a presentation from Ms. Harriet. And Ms. Harriet, I'm glad you're here today. I know that you look good after what you've been through this week, so again, thank you for being here.
Forgive me if I'm one-eyeing it from time to time. I'm not winking at you. I'm just trying to focus. This resolution came before council last year, and we do have staff from TCL here to answer any questions that you may have. But it was discussed as a part of the 2025 budget or bond presentation to initially fund up to $7.5 million, $6 million of it coming from the 2025 bond, and $1.5 million over the course of a 3-year period. That 1.5 was not budgeted in fiscal year 25 and came to light when we were preparing the budget, so we wanted to make council aware that the previous commitment was for 7.5 over 3 years, 6 being from bond and 1.5. In discussions with Ms. Carnes and some of her staff, we talked about it, and there was a letter of commitment that was submitted to the state. Ashley, you want to come talk about that a little bit? They have a commitment from the state and requested additional funds, but they don't fully have those funds as of yet. And so the 1.5 we could walk back from that because they don't have their commitment from the state yet. Sorry. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Rich Goff, President TCL. The project is, had some escalation in price, and surprise, surprise, something at the tune of about $500,000 a year. We have found that we are a bit short on our total requirement. We have a legislative ask in this year for the state, which we think may be forthcoming. We have some reason to believe it will be. And we also have some other grant opportunities that are in the works. So as a result, the project is about a year behind from where we hope to be. Therefore, the bond amount, payments amount that was referred to being delayed by a year is not a problem for the college.
Go ahead.
I had a question. I mean, you're anticipating legislative support, but in light of what they've been saying about no earmarks?
Yeah, the earmarks, I know they're cutting back or eliminating earmarks.
Right.
We have hope that our funding will be wrapped into another agency's funds, and it'll be forthcoming that way.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need to know.
So at this point, we had discussed maybe not continuing with the 1.5 since we've already done the 6 million, and until they know what their funding is going to be from the state, revisit this and appropriate it at that time.
Motion to do that. A recommendation?
Yep, go ahead. Go ahead, York. York's gonna ask a question.
Sure. Me?
Oh, you too. Is that better?
I can hear you.
It's not just me.
Is it on now? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Let me just ask, is because it's 1.5
Yes.
that we have to come up with over a period of time. Is there any funding even for a quarter of that to be put aside so that we don't put ourselves under a lot of pressure?
Yeah, what I'm wondering about is our commitment. We had to commit to the state that we had the funding to move forward. And if we don't have that 1.5 million committed, even at a later date, I'm not sure if we're not going to run into a problem with the state.
Okay.
So
That's fine. Okay.
that's my thought at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
So I'd be cautious, I think, of decommitting that 1.5 at this point.
Sure.
So right now, last year, we committed to the 1.5, and it is something that we did as a council, and voted on that and approved that. But obviously, it's something that we'd like to push to next year. Just by pushing it to next year does not,
Correct. We're not decommitting by any means. We're just postponing
Okay.
until we know that they've received the funding that they need from the city.
And that is perfectly fine and proper.
okay, so that is, I need someone to actually make that recommendation for us to do that, and then someone to second it, and then for us to discuss it further if we would like to.
Do you want to make it York or?
I'm motion that we postpone the funding to TCL in the amount of 1.5 until next year's budget.
I'll second the motion.
And so we have a motion with a first and a second. Is there any more discussion regarding that? And everyone understands that we're just moving the funding to next year, because again, we approved it last year. So we will approve this without objection. Is there any objection? I see no objection. So again, we will just postpone the funding until next year. Good.
We'll talk about it.
Thank you, Dr. Goff, for being here. We appreciate being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. All right,
Vicki, you're staying up there now?
I guess so.
And this was the reason that we called the special meeting on Monday, and obviously had to move it till this morning. But it was whenever we as a council decided to change our what was it, the cost of living
Yes, we went from a 3%
to
to a flat rate.
a flat rate, which then
The
changed.
Logan is missing.
Every number in every department had to be then redone and reevaluated and come back. So again, that is why we're calling this now, so then we can have the budget approved within an appropriate time by the end of our fiscal year. So number 10 is an ordinance to make appropriations for county government and special purpose districts for Beaufort County for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, to levy taxes for the payment thereof, to adopt services and user fees, to provide for the expenditure of said taxes and other revenues coming into the county and other matters related thereto. I would need a motion then for us to talk about this, move this forward. Moved. Thank you, Mr. Pressman. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay. Let Mr. McCollum.
McCollum, I think, was first over there, so seconded, and we're going to open up for discussion, but first we'll have Ms. Harriet do a presentation for us. Thank you.
Great, so we just updated a lot of our numbers from our April workshop where we presented originally with a 3%, and then, next slide. All right, it'll show up soon enough, I hope. Just a quick overview of some of the changes that we, yeah, there we go. So we changed the COLA amount from the 3% to the flat rate of $1,885 for full-time employees and $943 for part-time employees. Again, moved solid waste department back into the general fund, and we also moved garage back out to the internal service fund. There's some new personnel requests, capital equipment, and we have folks from Fleet and from Capital here to answer any questions about the projects and or requests that were submitted and approved by the administrator. And then we have the fiscal year 26 CIP budget and then enterprise funds. Right? Next slide. Next slide. Estimated value of a mill. This is a reminder of what our estimated value of a mill for fiscal year 26 is. It's $2,980,406. Fiscal year 25 was 2.7 It's an increase of almost a little over 10% in the value of a mill, so our values for our properties are up. Next slide. So here are some of the changes that are proposed for the upcoming year's millage for '26. As you can see, we are remaining mill neutral, but we are changing some of the allocations that have previously gone out. With solid waste moving back into the general fund, that increase, the millage came with it, so therefore county operations is increased to 47.2. We were able to reduce debt service down to 3 mills to cover our debt for the upcoming year. Purchase of real properties debt is also reduced by ½ mil to cover that debt payment. Capital improvements is remaining at 3.2 as we have a ton of pending projects moving forward into '26, also some carrying forward from '25. Economic development, we are recommending to reduce that additional mill that was awarded last year for the Job and Site Fund. We would like to put it back to the 0.3 mills for the Job and Site Fund, and we'll need that extra mill in operations, county operations, so we remain mill neutral. Indigent care remains the same. It's 0.4 mills for Beaufort, Jasper, Hampton Comprehensive Health Services. And 0.4 mills is for operating, 0.2 is for their debt service, which was recently issued in the 2025 bond. Same with higher education. I just broke out the two because USCB gets 1.1 is what we're recommending, which is the same rate they've gotten for multiple years, as well as higher education for TCL. Theirs is 1.2 mills, 1.1 for operating, and the additional 0.1 mil for debt service. So this keeps the counties overall mill neutral. We're not increasing taxes by any means. We're remaining flat, just reallocating some of the millage that was previously allocated. Here's our estimated general fund revenues for the upcoming fiscal year. Ad valerum's at 140 million, licenses and permits 4.2, and all of our other revenue categories. You'll see the contribution from prior year fund balance is 17.5 million. 15 of that at our workshop back in February was requested for the CIP fund. So that's what the 15 million is. 2.5 is additional for operating. And then transfers in for the $1.6 million are in relation to some of the ARPA interest that we receive from, that is not allocated for anything else. And here's our estimated general fund expenditures by category. General government's looking to be about $70 million. Public safety, 66 million. Public works, 28. Public health, 2.3. Public welfare, $1 million, a little over $1 million. Culture and recreation, which are library and your parks, and passive parks, or I'm sorry, it's land preservation now, is 15.2 million. And then the transfers out of the general fund, this is the $15 million that will be transferred to the CIP fund for those projects that you guys approved back in February. All right. In this upcoming year, these are the new position requests by department. This is a summary. In your budget books, I put details of exactly every position that was requested that looks like this, and I will give Sarah a copy for an add-on. The ones in red is the new EMS shift. So that was what we discussed back in February at the strategic retreat. And the ones at the bottom are elected officials' requests. Other than that, the rest of them are general fund, except for fleet. So, but this was in a summary format. Go ahead. You're good. All right, these are the vehicle requests. We have Todd here from Fleet. If you have any specific questions about any of these requests, but total is 4.9 for all of these departments. Go ahead. And these are the equipment requests. Todd handles the equipment as well, so he can answer any specifics you may have. But these are the approved requests that the administrator and I vetted. Keep going. These are the other funds that, and their vehicle and equipment requests. So we separated out general fund from other funds because these are all the other funds that requested vehicles and or equipment. Okay. Here is our fiscal year 2026 CIP fund summary. They received 3.2 mils, which equates to 9.5 million, a little over $9.5 million. We have 92 projects in the fiscal year 26 CIP, and we have both Carolyn and Robert Getze here, the interim director, to answer any specific questions. In your budget, or in the backup that I sent out, there was a list specific to all of the projects that are in the 26 CIP. So that is attached in your backup if you have questions. We have a rollover of $15 million coming from the general fund, and then the rollover is $11.5 million, which is already encumbered for other projects. So total CIP budget will be $36 million, a little over $36 million. Here are our enterprise funds. We have our garage, which we're moving back out to an internal service fund, which again is a type of proprietary fund, so it can start generating revenue to cover its expenses. You've got your Beaufort Executive Airport, Hilton Head, and then stormwater. These are your totals for those budgets for those funds. All right. I guess I kind of went quick. We're back to next steps. Here we are. It is our special call finance committee meeting on May 12th. If everything goes well and no changes, we're requesting to move this immediately to the upcoming Monday council meeting for first reading, as we want to stay on track with the budget calendar that was previously approved by council prior to my arrival, so that we can have the budget passed by the third reading, or second reading and third reading done by the first council meeting in June. So I am open for any questions, and I brought paper copies. Does everybody have a paper copy of the budget? If you didn't like the electronic version?
Any questions?
I have a copy of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have a copy of that. I have a copy of, she's showing there, yeah.
I'm not gonna do them all.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have some questions. I just want to account for the fact that Pinky did answer my questions, but I think for the rest of council, they might find some of them interesting. I looked at why some of the fees in revenue were zeroed out for 2026, and she said that was an error on the Excel sheet, but it's included in the book.
It's included in the overall revenues number, correct?
Right, because for example, magistrate civil fees went from 175,000 to zero.
Right.
That's a pretty steep drop. And then there were some other things in there. I wanted to point out the family court. So they made an error entering their salaries, because I noticed the drop was from, they had 503,000 in 25, dropped to 269 as a request in 26. So Pinky and the administration took it up to 599 after they discovered the error the court entered. So that's in there. And communications and accountability, I think it's good for the public to know we hired new FOIA employees for FOIA. And so that's why those salaries went up.
And also just an overall salary note, keep in mind that we are not budgeting payroll contingency any further. All vacancies are in the departments. So that's why when you see salaries and wages increased in all departments, they're due to the fact that we're not putting everything in a payroll contingency account. We're putting it within the departments.
Where there's a vacancy.
Correct.
Then I looked at EMS salaries and wages. I understand the fourth shift went in. We did have discussion on that. I still am skeptical, and we'll wait to see how it pans out for fiscal 26. It is a 23% increase in the budget, so we'll have to wait and see how that comes out. And I see, they had to buy uniforms for new people. I get that. The other one I had that maybe people might, I had others, but she answered them all. The athletic programs, I noticed they cut the seniors from 300,000 to 170. So I thought, is it because we have less seniors other than all of us sitting up here, or most of us sitting up here? And the answer was no, they split the program to have seniors and then generic rec programs. And then in the CIP, I think the public should really look at all the HVAC we're replacing, all the roofs we're replacing. We talked about this in strategic planning. That's part of our maintenance. There's a lot of money in there. Then we did LED retrofit. And my question was, if there's rebates, and I know you'll look into it, Because I know when we did it where I live, there were rebates. I don't know if there still are.
I mean, I could probably get Robert to come up here
Yeah.
and answer about that because he's managing all those projects. But I'm sure it's something that we can look into to see if we're eligible for any kind of rebates.
They probably cut it this year, I don't know.
So those are more facilities project, those would be facilities projects. And we had looked at different rebates for different projects, and basically Dominion will provide rebates based on the change in power consumption, but there are some criteria that we have to meet, and it would typically be switching out the electrical components as well. And we had looked at it for different options, but as far as just the LED replacements, it was not a rebate that we would qualify for during that. But there are other options that we have looked at.
Well, thanks for looking into that. I just was
Absolutely.
curious, yeah. And then Wimby Creek Pier, I think I remember the man that stood up here that said it would be a $10 million replacement. And we're gonna replace 200,000 and the rest is from ATAX. How much is the total replacement?
I think there were some I think last year, there was a HTAX award for Wimby Creek. Jared, can you speak to that, please?
Was it 10 million?
No, I don't think it was 10 million. But there was previous resolutions that appropriated money for Wimby Creek. That's just the request in 26 CIP budget.
Yeah, on Wimby Creek, the gentleman that spoke, he gave us a couple different options. And what we decided was, let's just fund the design right now, and then we can come back and determine the capital planning and put that into a future budget wherever that needs to fit. So
Okay, so it's design only.
This is getting design and permitting.
I was gonna say, you got a really good price when he said it was like $10 million.
Yeah, no, that's far off from what it will actually cost, yes.
Okay, and my only other question was the Enterprise Fund Executive Airport. The AV gas revenue went down 100,000. Don't they all need gas when they come? I don't know.
I think I sent you a little snippet on what was actually there.
I don't remember. I didn't remember seeing that one. I got the helicopter.
You're talking about.
Oh, it's more in line with what was actually collected in
Right.
past years. Okay.
Yeah, so we took a look at what they were actually collecting versus what they were projecting to collect. And last year's number was a little bit higher than what they were actually collecting in previous years.
Thanks. And just overall, I mean, I asked a question, some of the, every department did a recommendation, like you gave us fiscal 25, and then people asked for 26, and then administration and finance recommended for 26. So I just thought in case people had questions about that, because they didn't, sometimes the recommended was less, sometimes it was more.
Right.
More times is less after, and
understand.
it speeds it up. Yeah.
I don't know, engineering got a good slice, so I don't know about that. Okay.
All right, Alice, you have some
I
questions?
have some questions, and I sent them to Pinky kind of late, but I'm not going to go into the real details of some of them, just a general overview. I just so the public knows, these new positions, I'm making a statement that I think is true. They've all were part of the compensation study, unless the administrator thought there was something else that needed a new position. That's a general question probably for Mr. Moore. There's like, it looks like a long list of new positions, but it's really not, because we've done the studies and we have
We
justification.
did take some vacancies and reclass them. For example, engineering had several vacancies that we used and we reclassed the vacant positions to fund their need for the upcoming year.
Oh, okay.
So some of them are not new, they're just reclassing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and I would just say they are in the, covered under the class and comp study. So the pay bands are what we had, they've been, the new positions will be classified and they will be, within the new pay band.
Okay.
But they are new positions. In the case of animal services, we have new positions. Obviously, we talked about EMS. So that's all part of,
In Veterans Affairs, that was one
Yes.
I had a
Correct.
question about.
correct. So the study more looked at the compensation for those positions.
Not necessarily
The
new positions.
requirement for the position, right? So the requirements were generated by the departments, and then they came to us, we reviewed that, and then made a determination to fund or not fund.
Okay, very good. That clarifies it better. Are we going to have, I think you said we'll have specific departments make presentations or not? In particular, I had some questions of some of the outside agencies.
Yes, so at our April finance meeting, we had some agencies present then, fire districts, I think a couple of our mail receiving entities, and then you have another finance committee meeting coming up in May where the rest of them will present. But we can make adjustments based on what council's desire is,
After those presentations.
as long as it's before the public hearing, yes.
Okay. So I had some specific questions for them, but does the salaries for the county attorney include hiring the deputy attorney?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we made that change after the announcement went out.
And paralegal and
Yes,
paralegal.
we had an additional county attorney position, but they reclassed it to fund 2 paralegal positions.
Okay. And I don't,
And that is included, yes.
Just to clarify, this fiscal year, we have 4 attorneys. This is going to be 3. 1 county attorney, 2 deputies, and an additional paralegal. So that's the change to the attorney positions this year.
I got it. Okay.
That's the question. On the paralegal, is that a new position or
There's
somebody
one
else?
new position, yes. We had a previous paralegal position. That became vacant. We hired a new paralegal for that, and we hired an additional paralegal. So there's 2
Is that
paralegals.
person coming on board soon or?
They're here. They're both paralegals are on board.
Oh, we haven't been, okay.
We'll make sure we introduce them. How's that next time?
I'd like to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
I had a few more, and I can get these later. The miscellaneous expenditures, just so the public knows, for the county attorney's office. I'd just like some more details about what that is, because it's a large number, but I understand why. It would be good to know what that is specifically, if we know. And I'd like to hear, and I've listed in there the agencies that I'd like to hear from, because we either kept it the same. In one case, we decreased it from their requests, particularly the coastal mental health. I think it would be good if they presented what their,
The Department of Mental Health?
right.
Okay.
What their funds are used for, and why we recommended to reduce it, because we all know mental health is an issue and it's a cycle of mental health, drug abuse, detention, and hospital. So, and I'd just like to know more details about that. And do you know why the telephone contract is separate from the sheriff? His is separate from our contract? Is there a reason for his expenses for telephone being separate? I don't know. I just, first time I had noticed that, to be honest.
Yeah, I wish I would have told Suzanne to be here, but she entered the sheriff's budget, so I can find out to see what the difference is. I know that in his special revenue funds, we keep those obviously separate from what we do in the general fund, but I can definitely get you some more information on that.
Okay, I mean, if there's a necessity to have those separate, fine, but I didn't. Mr. Emerson, did you have a comment on that, or?
I don't have the exact numbers of what that expense is for theirs, but I know that we ran into it this past week. There are a few numbers that they maintain on a separate account that they manage. In fact, there was a notice that went out this week that those numbers were not functional, so their non-emergency calling had to be routed through our numbers that we do maintain, and it supplies some redundancy there.
Okay, all right. I get that. And
I'll get some
overall,
info from Suzanne for you.
I noticed different requests for uniforms. I have no problem with that, of course, but I just would like administration to look into, do we have a written policy about issuing uniforms? Do we do one procurement system? I noticed the coroner hadn't had any requests for uniforms for years, and now they need them. I understand that, but just, overall, do we have a policy about uniforms? I think it's good that the public can identify an employee from the county. And I just would like to see how we issue them, and is there some kind of policy? Do you get so many a year, depending on where you work?
I know we do outsource some of that with Centos currently, but I'm not sure if there's an official policy, but we'll look into it.
Yeah, and that was a recommendation out of the report. So that has been looked at. Just got to get the update on where we are on status.
Okay, all right. That's all my questions, Chairman.
I'm going to go back, Pinky, to the outside agencies. I know they all sent you something, you said?
Correct, which
And
is
we'll be
listed on
putting that
that.
in our next packet? Because I'm with Ms. Howard, I would like all of these people to present, especially people asking for a giant increase. These are subsidies totaling over $3 million of taxpayer funds. So I think they should explain to us, for example, why you went from 37,000 to 112, or why you went from 717 to 1,000,002. Those are some pretty hefty jumps, and so
Right.
I'd
Well,
like them all to present to us.
sure, and I believe Economic Development presented at April's Finance Committee
Yeah, you
meeting,
can
so
make
you've
that
got
one.
that one, but the rest of these are scheduled. If they're not on the schedule, we'll make sure they're there for the May Finance Committee meeting. And then the bottom, the second from the bottom, the BJWSA, that was due to a resolution approved last year for the Alljoy drainage, so forth. So that was a commitment that we had already made, so we had to make sure we budgeted it this year, so.
And for LCOG, I'm concerned about the home consortium part. We go to those meetings, and generally, I don't see funding for homes in Beaufort County. Not to the tune of $75,000, so I'm curious.
Okay.
Is that our allocation, maybe? How
Right,
much
it
we
is.
have to give?
It is, but she'll present about that on May 19th.
Okay.
Great questions. Anyone else have anything for Ms. Harriet?
Oh, yeah, I just asked a question just to be asking. When you have capital and projects, they're not attached to the operation budget for elected official, are they?
For all capital projects?
Yes.
Well, they're in our Fund 4,000. We have department codes attached to every department in the
Let me
CFD.
ask you another way. Because we cannot cut an elected official's budget, their operating funds. Capital projects is not considered part of operation, right?
No, we budget capital in a different
Separately,
fund.
okay. And that's one time,
Right, because it's a one-time project, we would not give them recurring funding for something that's complete.
okay. Then the other question I have is dealing with the 1 point, we are cutting or proposed cutting from the economic development,
The 1 mil?
right? Talk a little bit more about that if you would.
Sure. I believe, and you guys were probably here, remember this more than I do. Last year, an extra mill was allocated to economic development for the Jobs and Site Fund.
Right.
And I believe a project that was slated to move forward did not move forward. So this will in turn create a significant fund balance for them to carry over. Furthermore, we'll need, based on all the increases that we've got in our operating budget, we'll need that mill back for county operations. So that's why we propose to bring it back, so we can make sure the rest of the county is funded adequately.
Okay, now that commitment we made, I think, was for 5 years, wasn't it?
Correct, but the council can choose to modify that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
good. I want to talk about it, and I want to make sure that, we did make a commitment to them for the 1 mil over a 5-year period of time. Yeah, okay.
It's similar to what we decided with, just recently modified with TCL. Council had via resolution committed to that 1.5 over a 3-year period, but circumstances have changed on both ends. So we're now at a point where we're going to postpone that.
But we just motioned that we will postpone.
Correct.
Right, for the TCL, so the commitment is still there. Right, I just want to make sure that we committed to whatever they need.
Right.
And I understand that there's probably been a reassessment of their needs at this time, but I just want to make sure that we are still committed to
Right.
economic development.
Right,
So-
we are. We're going to remain with the 0.3 mil, so they're going to continue to receive a portion of that millage to keep that fund funded. But at the moment, we need the additional mill for our county operation, so we're recommending. The circumstances may change next year, so you always have the ability to reappropriate them additional millage.
Okay.
Okay? Tab, your question about.
I think Hank may want to say something. Let him say something.
Only the commitment's still there, like I said, with the 0.3 mils. The resolution actually,
0.3 mil is just there.
but the extra mill was, the resolution actually read that it was for up to 5, and it was because previous to that, in March of last year, there was a presentation made of product development that needed upwards of $18 million because there were a couple large target properties. And the main one, which was the Chilton Tract, has come off. And so with the needs of the county, this could be a 1-year roll back to the general fund budget. You could reassess as you move forward, but it was not a $1 million for 5 years. It was for up to 5 years because it was based on that product development plan. They do have other targets that they would want to go after. We're going to go to their meeting today at 2:00 to discuss that. But at the same time, the immediate need for the large sum over time is not the same as it was. You guys, in the previous councils, as economic development would identify a project, would bring it to you guys for the county to participate on a case-by-case basis. If something was to arise in the coming year, that they could still do that same thing.
Sure. Thank you.
Hank,
Now-
just
now-
to that point, anything expended from that fund, which was created specifically, I believe should come to county council for approval. That is taxpayer money.
Well, the resolution read that any property acquisition or improvement of product would come back to council, not every single transaction, because there are a lot of small transactions that happen out of the site and job fund that may be to hire an engineer or to master plan a piece of property or to the due diligence necessary. So those onesie, twosie transactions are what they submit on a quarterly basis to us for reimbursement that I go through. But what I read in the council approval is required for acquisition or major improvement to those sites.
And I have no problem with any of that. I'm talking about the grants. You know I'm going down that road.
Right, and I think that, and we'll discuss that later today in Economic Development Corporation, is kind of refining what the expenses out of the site and job fund can or should be.
Yeah, you were mentioning the .3 mils?
Yes, ma'am,
The
please.
.3 mils is actually for the job and site fund. That's what you've been allocating for multiple fiscal years,
Gotcha.
specifically for job and site fund. Their operating request is 513. It's in your binder as well. That's what they ask for annually for operating, and it's 393. They asked for a 5% increase this year, so it's 393,750 for operating. That's the portion that you allocate them in the outside agencies
Okay.
for operations.
And that's not part of the 1.3. Got you.
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, all good questions. Any other questions? And as I'm sitting here, I was just calculating how many CFOs in my short time on council that I've had. I think I've counted 5. And everyone
Don't go there. Don't go there.
everyone that comes along, I think, wow, this one is the best. I think we've got the best now that's been able to handle this and do this. And again, not saying anything bad about the other ones that have come along, but again, I appreciate all your work and all that you've done because we're only as good as the advice that we get. I mean, we sit here and make these decisions, but it's based upon the expert advice that we get from our administrator, our legal counsel, our other deputy administrators, and then obviously you. So again, thank you. I know what you put into this, so thank you for everything. Yes, go ahead.
And just one comment. If you all have questions after, we're going to take those. So just go ahead and forward them to us, and what we'll like to do is compile all that, and then we'll send it back out to you all so you have all the responses.
You need that by Friday.
Friday would be good, so we could be prepared to discuss it at the council meeting on Monday on first reading, if we could get that. We would appreciate it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for us to move this to council. Is there any objection to us doing that? And seeing no objection, this will be moved then to council. And again, Pinky, I know how much hard work you've put in, especially with all the changes that we created for you and all the headaches we created for you. So thank you for everything you've done, and appreciate everyone coming to this special called meeting that we had changed from Monday to today. Is there anything else? Let me check my agenda. Is there anything else that we have to come before us today? Seeing nothing, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Got people coming.
Can we start the other one?